see some of you guys watching, very shy in the background. Please do say hello to me, especially when you are new. We'll be starting in 10 seconds. And I lied. We're starting right now. Hello, everybody. If we're meeting for the very first time, my name is Holly Lee. I am a leadership coach and I do live stream every Tuesday for the last 3 years in providing you with interviewed and career tips in acing your Amazon and Fang employer, coming from that background as a hiring leader, an interview trainer, as well as a leadership recruiter for companies such as Amazon. I am the founder and CEO of hollylee.co. I run a VIP coaching for those who are in the process of career transition. Okay. Without further ado, I have a special guest today. You guys saw the thumbnail, which is a very hot topic this month, specifically this month, which is job search. Don't freak out, guys. Every time I feel like when I mention LinkedIn, networking, are you still with me? A job search, people start to mentally somewhat checked out. I'm not sugarcoating here because I noticed that. And when I pull my guest in here, she could share her experiences as well. Because as creator, I know for a fact that when it comes to job search or networking, what you don't know, what you don't know, you don't know, and people don't watch, learn, and implement the process and skills so that it will help you get in front of the employer. Okay. So let me pull my friend Cassandra in here there you go. Let me give
Hello.
us our name tag. Where's our name tag? There you go. Cassandra, her handle is Cass Thompson Communication. I will
Yep.
leave all of her information at the end in the description later on today. So feel free to connect with her. She's the only Cassandra Thompson on LinkedIn, by the way. I'm excited to have her here because Cassandra has a lot of experience working at university, helping all walks of life, landed job at a lot of these Google, Amazon, small, big, large employer, especially during this time right now as we share best practices. What better way it is for us to jump on here, provide our best strategies in helping you get in front of like the Amazon of the world. So, Cass, I would love if you can make a brief introduction of yourself.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry, as I get something in my eye right as I'm introducing myself. Okay. Hi. Yes. So quick intro of me. I am a career strategist. I help people go from hating work to happy work. My background was in television for 10 years, and then I pivoted into career education, mainly focused on university and entry level. But since then, have done a ton of interview coaching at all levels, um, and love talking about communication, particularly within the job search. So, how we present ourselves from everything from networking to that final interview.
I know I thought about you immediately of who I wanted to collaborate. I know that you're also very passionate. In fact, if you guys wanted to check out her YouTube channel secretly, I when I started my channel 3.5 years ago, I was watching Cassandra's YouTube channel, and she has a lot of good stuff when it comes to LinkedIn and networking. Okay, and I'll leave that link in the description later as well. Chung, hello, Chung, welcome. I believe you are new. Surrender, hello. Thank you for being here. Modern, welcome back. Make sure you guys be very specific of your question, and we're just going to dive right into it about now. Okay. The first thing I have here is how do you get found by employers, aka recruiters? Okay. Back in the days when I was in recruiting, we actually trained the hiring manager in searching for candidates like you guys. But things have changed now because of the pandemic, the layoff. They have an overwhelming, I'm talking about millions of applicants going to the same job. So, how do you get in front of the recruiters with your dream company? I'm going to push it to Cass right now and hear her point of view before I jump right in with mine.
Yeah, I think there's two things. One, it never hurts to send a direct message or a connection request, but if you do, give an explicit reason why you're connecting. Like a recruiter. A recruiter is there to fill roles. They want
Mhm.
to fill the roles. They want those rec IDs gone. So if you're just coming in saying like, "Hey, I just really want to work at Amazon one day," like, why are they connecting with you? But if you're coming in saying, "Hey, I just saw this job posted on Amazon with this rec ID number, and I think I'm a great fit for it for these top 2, 3 reasons. I'd love to connect." Then you have more of a shot of them connecting, and they're going to go look at your profile, so make sure it's good. So if you know what you're looking for and you want to connect with a recruiter, that's the best way to do it. If you are still more in the like, I just know I want a job at that company, but I haven't seen a specific one yet, this is going to open a whole other can of worms, Holly, but that's
Let's
where
open
I
that
think
can of worm.
that's
People
where I
need to
think
hear
you
it.
need to start building your brand on LinkedIn. You can't be a lurker who's just in the background connecting with people and messaging in private messages. You need to be creating content on LinkedIn that's getting people talking, that's you've done a couple of posts around what you're good at, around what you're interested in the field, you're starting to build conversation, and then you can like tag a recruiter in that and see what do they think, or just start getting their attention by tagging the company name, etc. But some in a way kind of similar to a lot of other areas of life, you have to prove that you're worth talking to. People don't like hearing that, but it's true.
Especially right now. Let's
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about brand or
Yeah.
branding because I feel like a lot of people don't know what that is. Um, for me, branding is if you're going to reach out to me, the first thing I do is look at your LinkedIn profile and
Mhm.
see if there's anything in there that I like. So I've talked about this until the cow comes home almost every single live stream where if your LinkedIn credential doesn't make sense to you, most likely it's not going to make sense to any employer or recruiter or even networking, right? And
Yeah.
I noticed that a lot of the folks, more like 99% of the time, have an empty profile or it looks like they don't really put much effort into it.
Yeah.
So, branding is something where it's almost as if you can't even create your story to pass an interview. You can't even get your foot in the door for an interview until you have the right brand. I'm not even going to go into the keyword search and all that.
Yeah.
Do you have something different? That's a whole different story. One thing at a time.
Yeah, I think to me with that with the LinkedIn profile part, I mean, yes, do an all-star level profile. That's number 1. And then when it comes to brand, I think what people think is they think of a topic like, "Oh, I'm the sports guy," or "I'm the girl who loves television," or things like that, but it's really it's what you wanna be known for, and that can be things like, what's the compliment you always get from coworkers? So I used to always get like, I know if I hand something to you, I'm gonna get it done and it's gonna be done early. And to me, I went, Isn't that just being a good employee? Like, shouldn't everybody
Hmm.
be doing that?" But apparently they don't. So it's like, that's the sort of thing that I wanna demonstrate in other jobs is, "Hey, I'm really responsible. I will get things done. Here's the accomplishments of how I've done that before." That's just as much your reputation or sorry, your reputation in that's just as much your brand as, "Oh, I have a passion for technology," or
You've helped
that
a
sort of
lot of people in the university.
thing.
You
Mhm.
spend quite a number of years there. What are some of your best strategies in helping those either getting their first degree or are alumni and actually landing a job at these FANG companies? What do you tell them and how do you guide them?
Yeah, to me, I mean, one is being the student that's on LinkedIn. Like, as my college students actually make up a huge part of LinkedIn, university students do because they're a very much a target market for LinkedIn, but most students are not active. And I always think college students need to leverage being in college. Here's what I mean by that. The people you're talking to have been, or the people you want to talk to have been in your shoes. And they all remember how confused they felt in college and how they weren't sure what they wanted to do and how their plans changed 17 times. And so, like, leverage the confusion. You need to be on LinkedIn and having a great profile, and then your content can just be like, hey, I'm in my senior year. I'm looking for what I want to do next. And I'm thinking I want to do X. Like, I'm thinking I want to work, um, in communication at one of the large tech companies, at a FANG company, or what are we calling it now? It's got a different name now,
It's
but like
Matang now.
Matang. Yeah, I'm like because
It's
of
Matang,
Meta.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to work at a Matang company in communications. What tips do you have for me strengthening my resume to get me there? Like, ask the people because they'll go, "Oh, I remember being in college. I remember what it was like." And it can be even simpler than that, but you have to be specific. This is just a general that people mess up is they go like, "What advice do you have for me?" That's so blanket, people don't know what to do. But if you say, "What is the one thing you learned after college that you wish someone taught you in college?" Everybody has an answer. Everybody has something they're like, I'll tell you what they don't teach you that they should teach you." I heard a
Mhm.
I heard a radio show this morning where people were talking about that. But because you said, "What is the one thing?" it makes it easy for people to respond. And now you can start building those connections through those responses and start building relationships. You're going to have a much better chance of DMing with that person and getting a response back from them because you've been commenting and they've been commenting on on your LinkedIn. So that's one thing.
HP says, "Thanks for the tip."
No problem.
By the way, we love coffee emoji. And we also love the thumbs up emoji. The Google algorithm or YouTube algorithm actually really love that during the live stream. It really helped us cascade out to a lot of the people that don't even know that
Cool.
things like this exist. Okay? So emoji would be great. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button, guys. I do this every single week. Okay? So let's move on to how to get in front of the hiring managers because I feel like I myself have a playlist of where I actually walk them through and try to figure out who the potential hiring manager is. I feel
Mhm.
like people are so anxious right now and nervous that they're not really listening to the content that's already there, right? For example, if I were to say stop applying to job, because I collaborated with our friend Jeff just the other day,
Yeah.
and we were talking about if you apply to job right now, you are adding to the extreme problem of many million people going after the same job rather than focusing on what you're really good at, not what you want to do, but you actually have experience and you may be a good fit for a number of position and
Mhm.
find potential hiring authority. No one who cares if you don't know if that's the right hiring manager. The whole point of um, the strategies of getting in front of the hiring manager is knowing to have potential with hiring manager title and start developing relationship with them.
Right. So to me, a couple things. One, I always like to make sure, I'm sure you've talked about this, but I always like to make sure people know no one has the title on their LinkedIn hiring
Yeah.
manager. Like, that's not what somebody's going to be titled. The hiring manager is an additional title that the person in charge of hiring that position for that department has. So often, if you're an assistant or a coordinator, it's the person you're going to be the assistant or coordinator to is going to be the hiring manager, the head of the department, the head of the team, things like that.
Hmm.
But they don't have the title hire like you're never going to know for sure they're the hiring manager on LinkedIn. Like based off just their profile. So I love that you made a video on like how to figure that out.
Now the problem is people just need to watch it, right? And
Yeah,
actually start implementing the process.
right. Um, I know such good stuff that's being given away for free. Like that's such good intel. To me, one thing I would say is even if you're not sure who it is, like I would go watch that video and try as hard as possible to figure out who the person is. Even if you're not completely sure, you need to get to know the people in the department you want to work in.
Hmm.
Um, that can I think in some ways that can help just as much, if not more, because I know plenty of hiring managers, just depending on how the company works. I know plenty of hiring managers who go, "Oh, I have this candidate. I have this candidate, Holly. She'd be great. You all should like her." And then there's that like team interview where the team's like, who's this person? And they decide, even though they're the hiring, they get to give feedback. And if they go, oh, we don't like her, the hiring manager isn't always going to go with the person they like. So it's worth getting to know people on the team too, because they also can refer you and go, hey,
Yep.
hiring manager,
I was
I
just
found
about to
this
say that
girl.
just because you're reaching out to a co-lead in time, a few weeks, a couple months, you build that relationship where now you're not a co-lead or cold meaning an applicant, right? A
Yeah,
candidate
right,
anymore. Now the hiring manager have got your you they I can't talk. They have gotten your attention and now it turns into a referral.
right.
So it's so much more powerful than just LinkedIn and job search. That's why there's a significant amount of effort. Um, I always like to tell people to spend at the bare minimum 5 to 10 minutes before you reach out to someone. Because I'm telling you, I read every single LinkedIn messages still. I mean, there are a point that I'm 2 months behind, but I still read them. And everyone says the same thing. Everyone's asking me why they applied to job and no one's getting back to them because you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah. You need to be focused on relationships above all else,
Yep.
because that's where the jobs come. Also, like, I know people get freaked out looking at job description, and there's so much in job descriptions now that are like, do you have these qualifications? I know people get freaked out and go, oh, I don't have all those things. You know how you get around that? You know people. If you've started networking with the people in that department and given them a taste of what you can do a
Yep.
little bit, they'll bring you in for an interview that you wouldn't have looked qualified for if you just did the application process online. And so
Exactly.
it's, you want that referral. So spend, my rule of thumb is always 70% of jobs are found through relationships. So 70% of your job search time should be on building and maintaining relationships, i.e., networking.
Mm-hmm.
So enough with all the applying online. I'm still letting you do that 30%, but 70% should be going to meetups in your area,
Mm-hmm.
going to LinkedIn locals.
Now, a
Those will
lot of
bring
these
you back.
folks, Cassandra, just because they have a lot of experiences,
Yeah.
how should I say this and keep my professionalism? You guys want me to be myself or you guys want me to be someone different? So I'm just going to be myself. A lot of you guys are very afraid to network, but you gotta understand we're all human and
Yeah.
everyone is doing the same thing. So you really have to stand out and differentiate yourself. I feel like the tools are there, but people are not pushing themselves to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Like earlier, I mentioned that I still run a VIP coaching to help people kind of transition, get the foot in the door, and then ace the interview with their dream employer.
Yeah.
Even so, that reminds me of the workplace statistic. I don't know if you read that. Every year there's a workplace statistic from the US that comes out, and I read them. Since 2016, it's the same thing every single year. 90% of the people like to sit comfortable. Everyone complaining that there's no growth. They're unhappy. Now, on top of that, 95% are laid. I don't want to say laid off. Between being stuck in their career, not having lack of growth, underpay or benefits, whatever that may be. And on top of that, many, many, many millions of folks are getting laid off.
Right.
So I would hope that if you're listening to us, go check out both of our channels and go straight to LinkedIn, job search, and networking.
Mhm.
You'll find the answer to step 1, 2, 3 and how you can at least one. The first thing is you have to boost up your LinkedIn profile, right? If you don't know what that is, don't worry. Cassandra, I'm pretty sure you have a lot of those material. We were just joking around
I
that
have a
you're
lot.
basically giving everything away for free.
Yeah, no, I have what essentially should be a course. It's like
Yep.
2 years old now, but the information is still the same in terms of the profile. But when I put it out, people were like, "Why are you doing this for free?" Like,
I
it is
asked you that, why are you
literally
doing it
step
for
by
free?
step.
Because this
Yeah,
is a lot of work. I mean, there's two types of creators. One, you got to make money because everything costs money. The microphone, the back, like the gear, everything costs money because we have right her mobile phone, all of that for you guys, by the way. And there's other one that really truly show passion, and I saw that in you, Cassandra, when I was stalking you earlier on in my career. I was watching, right? By the way, this girl gave me inspiration to live stream. I don't know. I told you this in the very
yeah, yeah,
beginning.
you
You were
told me, yeah.
streaming on your phone.
Yeah. Y'all, use what you have. Yeah, when live streaming started on YouTube, you had to have the only way you could just stream straight off YouTube without software, because I didn't want to pay for software at that time, was to do it off your phone vertically. And so I did it, and it was a horrible, blurry picture, but people still showed up and asked questions.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, LinkedIn is important. I mean, this is the thing. So I want to come back to one thing you said. You were like, hey, a bunch of people are looking, so you have to stand out. Okay, can we talk for a minute about how to stand out the right way?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is my big thing.
Eh,
People think to stand out, you need to be clever, right? Like that girl got press for sending her resume on a cake to Nike. I don't know if you saw that, but like it
I didn't
went
see that.
viral a couple of weeks ago that she sent her resume on a cake to Nike. From what I've understood, she didn't get a job. She made press. I'm sure she got some other offers off her creativity. That's great. But here's the thing, you see things like that, or like the last recession where people would like send a pizza in with their resume and stuff like that. You go, oh, that's how to do it. No one cares about your creativity if the resume still sucks. Like, no one, the creativity part should be the last part. You still have to check all the boxes. And so most people will not check all the boxes. They won't take the time to do all the steps we're telling you to do, like not just today, but in all these different videos. So the best way to stand out professionally is just to be the one who follows everything we tell you to do. Um, because most people aren't taking the time to do that. And then if you have room left over to add some creativity to it, that's fine. But like, you need to do the basic steps first, because what I see a lot is even going with LinkedIn or with a resume. Like, resume is always the easiest example. People are like, oh, I got to stand out on a resume. I got to add like columns and make my name forest green, and I'll add icons about the skills I can do. Well, all of that takes up a bunch more space. And so what I've noticed is people spend all this time on the layout of their resume to look pretty and to stand out, but now there's not the room to input the actual skills,
Mm-hmm.
accomplishments, responsibilities they've held that show that they're a good fit for the job. And so it's like, well, if you're not getting that on the paper, no one cares about your columns. No one's going like, well, she doesn't have the 5 skills we need for the job, but damn, look at those columns. Let's bring her in. Like, that's not
By
a
the way,
thing.
guys, are you guys enjoying this? Because Cass took a lot of time. My mic sounds like it's echoing, but let's not care about that. If you're enjoying this, I would love it if you smash the like button. I can tell how many of you are watching right now. Don't be shy, guys. Do not be shy. There's no question is a silly question, and we're here for you. Okay? Today and the rest of December, all I'm talking about is getting you in front of the future employer. Okay? Next week, I'll be diving deeper into carving out your messages via LinkedIn. And at some point, I'm going to do a LinkedIn review again, but it's just that when I have a guest here, I can't multitask on so many different monitors. It will slow down my stream. Y'all know what I'm talking about? All right. Thank you for the thumbs up. All right. And if you're enjoying this, let my guest cast know. It always motivates us to collaborate more. Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt you. I have to pow pow wake them up a
No,
little
you're
bit.
okay. So I want to bring up then, like, to stand out, if you go to a networking event or an association's mixer, like, y'all, we're in the holiday season. Um, all the different associations have parties and mixers and things like that, like regional ones that you can go to. I don't care where
Yep.
you live. Like, there's some version. I'm going to creative mornings in my local area on Friday. I just saw it on Instagram yesterday and I went, I haven't checked that one out. I'm going to go check it out.
Hmm.
But when you go, this is the mistake job seekers make, especially, I will be honest, especially in the tech space. You want in so bad, you want the job so bad that, let's say you go to one of these events and you're like, oh, I don't want to work at Amazon. And somebody from Amazon is there and you're like, hi, my name's Cassandra, and I really want to work at Amazon. I'm actually applying for jobs in Amazon. No, 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 no. This is a stranger. You would not walk up to somebody at a party and be like, "Hi, my name's Cassandra. I really want to date you. Like I saw I just can't wait to date you." Like that doesn't what? No. You can't do that to people. So you have to build the relationship. Like go to these events, go to conferences, go to things like that, meet people, go to virtual events, like go to these LinkedIn events too. Meet people through there, message them, start building conversations so they get to know you. And then you can go, "Hey, by the way, I saw this position I think I'd be a good fit for. Would you mind being a referral for me?" But you can't do that when you walk up and say hi. That's like the key.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And you want people to remember you. So
Yeah.
when you approach them, that the word I'm looking for is desperate. When you're going to them, you got to understand that you're probably one of the thousands and millions of people who approach them the right way. And sometimes I think that we often forget and put ourselves in the other perspective on how that would make you feel. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm only saying that because there are a lot of my member, you guys, who are upset with me on LinkedIn that you would message me like every day, every other day, sometime 10 times within a day, and you're very upset why I don't respond to you, not realizing there are a lot of people asking the same questions, and all the content, guys and gals, they're literally right in front of you. Like
Mhm.
these live stream, all you guys have to do is show up and ask your question, and I'm always here every week, same time, same date to answer it for you. Okay? So the last thing I have here is landing job interviewed or getting your foot in the door without an open role, because a lot of you guys are asking me that, Holly, but I'm getting laid off, everyone's getting laid off, I don't see. There's two things. One is, why do I see so many job opening at Google and other companies? Well, one, because once the position is posted, they stay posted for 30, 60, 90 days. That's why take it down and not build a pipeline. Okay. Two is, another big questions I'm getting is, Holly, there's no open job. I disagree. There's always going to be open job. You might not be looking at the right place. Cass, what do you think about that?
I think that's true. I mean, I think that's totally true. And I think this is the time where you might have to, in my opinion, this is the time where you might have to open up your search a little bit. Again, especially for my tech people. uh, the hard thing is a lot of you have this dream of like a specific company, like, or you only want to work at a Matang company, right? Like it's got to be one of these. Well, there are plenty of other great tech companies that could be great places to work, to get some experience before, for a couple years before a job opens for you at those other companies. So we might need to open up the bandwidth a little bit on what companies we're looking at. And then again, not like, especially right now, not all jobs are posted, and you can always start doing interviews and knowing people. You should be doing informational interviews and knowing people in the companies you want to work with now. So when a role opens, they think of you.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yep.
not if you're waiting to see the role on their careers page, it's too late. That's my opinion.
Hello, Alusaf. How are you? There are some really loyal members that's been with me for a long time, and I
Nice.
love seeing them coming back. Okay, let's answer some Q&A here, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Please, we all stay positive and listen to Holly and Cassandra. XOXO. Thank you, playa,
Playa.
beach,
Playa? I think it's
playa,
playa because beach
playa,
is playa.
playa. Hey, even if it's playa, I don't judge. I'm just
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
playa.
I'm just saying in this case, I'm like, I think it's playa. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. And but what are you hearing and seeing from your folks? I know that people are still reaching out to you as well. Um, what are some of the top questions that they're asking you or they're struggling with?
I think the interview process is super draining right now. Um, I it's just gotten more and more complicated over like every year for the last 10 years. It seems to be there's more steps. There's personality
Yeah.
assessments. There's projects on projects. You've interviewed with 20 people and they're like, "Oh, but you know what? We still want you to talk to one more before we make our final decision." Like,
Yep.
it is draining, and I think it's really unfair, but we don't get to completely change the process. So, I think, so with that, that's what I'm hearing a lot about is just the this drain and strain of, "I've made it to final 2 7 times,
Oh my
and they
goodness.
choose someone else." You know what I mean? Like, I
What
have,
companies are those?
uh, other all types. Corporations, large corporations, all types.
I
Um,
can also share that even looking at like the FANG company, like in Amazon specifically, they have add on more like an extension of the interview
yeah,
process. Now, almost every single road there is the online assessment, and a lot of people ask me to help them with that. But that's really testing if you are a culture fit. No one can help you with that. I think that because they're getting such a high volume and they don't have time to see, well, everything looks good on paper, and then we have, I don't want to use the word wasted, but we wasted our time to interview, let's just say 100 candidates and we're not hiring anyone. So let's
yeah,
just pause, give them an online assessment, see if they meet the culture fit or workplace fit.
yeah,
So I see a lot of that as well. And for the tech people, they have the online assessment for culture and the math test or coding test before that
right.
even happen.
It's like skills based, yeah. Um, yeah, in some ways, I think it's I honestly feel like we're gonna have to start talking more about, like, training for the interview gauntlet the way an athlete trains, because mentally it is a lot. Like, I
It is
don't
a lot.
blame
Yep.
people for being like, "I can't answer this again." You know what I mean? Like, and just emotionally to go through it, because here's like, this is how I feel about this is partly why I got into career services, or like career coaching, is because I was reading every book known to man about career, and there were certain things that I go, "Yeah, you're right, that's the thing to do," but nobody does that. And so, like, I just wanna be honest about that stuff. So one of those is, I know that you've heard, "Oh, even if you're interviewing, you should still be job searching because you're not guaranteed to get that job." But nobody does that. Nobody does it. You do an interview, maybe you do during a phone screen, but once you've hit that, like, "Oh, I've got a panel interview," or that kind of that big official interview set, you just start daydreaming about like, "Ooh, what it'll be to work here and when are they gonna call?" and stuff. You're not going on and networking with more people. I know. So then when you hear no, it's a lot to take in
Hmm.
and to start over. And so I feel like we might all have to start talking more about like motivation and mindset, and even just like physical health to get through that process, because it is, we don't talk enough about what stress does to our bodies.
Hmm.
And it is such a stressful thing to go through, and so I feel like that's gonna be like, I think that's gonna be a trend. But one thing with this too, I just got a question today from somebody, um, that it reminded me of what were the questions kind of a couple years ago, which it goes around the idea of, y'all are panicking so much that you're not trusting the information being given from the recruiter or from the team, that you're not looking at it. So this person was asked to do, I want to say like some sort of role play product review thing. They were like, "Hey, they sent me what they got sent from the company." And it's like, "Hey, we'd love to speak with you tomorrow. It'll be 30 minutes. It'll be with this person. We're going to show you our blah 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 product, and then we just want to walk you through and ask you some questions about it. There's nothing you need to prepare." Right? Similar to doing the online assessment for a culture fit.
Hmm.
Like, you just kind of got to roll with it. Like, you got to roll with it. This person wrote me and is like, "I'm so scared. I have no clue what they're going to ask me and I don't know how to prepare for this." It's like, you're not supposed to. That's okay. They don't
I think
expect you
that people
to.
are just overthinking every
They
single
are.
thing because of the recession, the layoff, the
Yeah.
social media. I talked about this last week where you guys just have to shut down social media. I feel like the more you listen to it, the more anxious that you get, and that could affect the way of your communication with the employer, or especially the interview process. The only platform that I would recommend is probably LinkedIn, because I feel like LinkedIn is more like real time, more accurate. And then you can see their profile and their name, so people are not going to make things up. But there's just so much going on social media where I myself stopped reading it, and I used to read news every single morning when I wake up. I don't even do that anymore because I start getting anxious. Right
Yeah.
today, 150 something thousand people got laid off at ABC. I'm like, I don't want to hear any of that because they're all saying the same thing. But listen, I don't know if any one of you guys are here in the 2008 or 2009 recession. I was here. My gray hair. You see, my gray hairs are out. I was here, and this kind of remind me of the 2008 recession, but it will bounce back. I see the big I see us being in a better standing now is that 10 years ago or so there isn't all this big company and so much startup and mid-sized company, and even like AWS is not even um, that big with acquisitions and whatnot back then, right? So they're gonna bounce back.
Mhm.
Companies at Microsoft, at Google, at Amazon, I can tell you this right now because a lot of those are my VIP coaching member. Their offer are getting on hold until January, or January is their start date. It's not that they don't have money; it's just that they need to figure out where things are right now because
Mhm.
everything is in stealth mode. That's really it. So I would love it if everyone stopped freaking out.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just panic. When we're stressed, when we're panicked, we're not thinking clearly. And so, like, this person read this, and I don't blame them. I've been in these positions. That's why I do this. Like, I'm not blaming this person. I'm just saying I am seeing that stress come back that I saw a couple years ago where you're so stressed out, you're not thinking clearly. And it's like they literally told you there's nothing to prepare. So they don't have that expectation that you're going to be polished. They just want to talk with you about the product, And so you have to go into those sorts of things and be okay with that. It's not everything is a trick question. And I think that's where people start to get confused is they feel like, no, these companies have to be tricking me. I've watched people like I've been in interviews and I will do this sometimes with my own candidates, like my own interview coaching clients, depending on the role where I'll ask and I've been in interviews where I'm asked like 5 behavioral questions, right? Where I have to give star answers, give a
Ah,
story,
she's talking about the
etc.
star. Let's
And
talk
then,
star.
well, yeah, love star. And then there will be a question like, so what industry softwares and technologies do you know? And I watch people get stumped like, what how am I supposed to answer this? It's like literally just list what you know. If you can, give the framework that you used it in, but like they're not asking a star question. They just need to check a box that says, okay, cool. They've worked on this system before, right? I know with something like engineering and stuff, computer science, obviously it's going to be deeper and you're going to get tests. But even for like marketing candidates, I've seen interviews where they go, what social media software and creative software have you used? Because there's so many out there, right? There's like media buying and planning software, there's Adobe Photoshop, there's project management software, etc. But people hear that question and are like, I can't possibly just give a 10-second answer where I talk about the main ones I'm familiar with. It's like, yes, you can. That's all
Yes,
they
you
want. They
can.
don't want you to spend 20 minutes on that. They want you to answer it directly and move on. That's it. They're not tricking you.
I talk about the 1 minute article I wrote for Forbes, and I get a lot of, I think the word is called hate. I'm all over Team Blind, by the way. If you see my name somewhere, please do put a thumbs up, not down, or two down means up, okay? The reason why I'm so adamant of keeping your answer short using the STAR method, STAR in general, it's communication. It's written and oral communication to help you
Mhm.
stay concise. When I say 1 minute, I don't mean spend 1 minute to answer the entire question. No, I'm talking about spend a minute. That's 8 sentences, by the way. It's a lot of sentences to give them a response because you're setting them up with probing question. It goes back and forth. They have at least 4 to even 6 probing question. So if you do the math and you also have questions for the interviewer, it's about 8 to 10 minutes per each question. Okay.
Mhm.
And, each interviewer, when they come to you, they have anywhere between 3 to 6 questions in advance anyway, already pre made. That is why when you're not ready, I don't even want to talk about being interview prepared. I want to refocus on like the branding piece that we talked
Yeah, yeah,
about.
yeah. Yeah.
And you tapped in a bit about the resume. By the way, are you still doing resume reviewed, or you used to do
No.
that, right?
Yeah, I used to. Not anymore.
Bring it back, girl.
Well, I have it in my course that I think is ridiculously affordable for all that's included in it. And I walk you through line by line what your resume should look like there. So, because of that, I just go like, if you want that information, buy the course because it's not that much
Yep.
more than having me review it. So,
By the way, for all of you guys who are affected by the layoff, if you take a course or buy a course or any career training, I think you can expense that through unemployment services or your current employer if you have a severance. Okay, especially when you're a student,
yeah.
you can actually expense that. Can't talk. Expense that as education. I'm sharing that because I actually have someone in the VIP coaching who are in that spectrum, and she was able to expense it. Okay. So if I were you, YouTube is free. There's a lot of great creators out there. There's a lot of free content out there. I would look and see which creator you relate to and just take advantage of that. Okay.
Mhm.
But Cass, your LinkedIn playlist was phenomenal. I remember being all over it when I first started my YouTube channel. So I would definitely check that out. Let's take a question from T Rex. T
Yeah.
Rex says, let me move this here. T Rex says, let me make this a little smaller. You said, I am on a final round interview. Oh, you're still on a final round interview. Good for you. I will be relocating for this company, but I'm noticing that the area I'm moving is expensive. Oregon. If offer, how do I ask for more money? First of all, Oregon is probably one of the least expensive places to live. Okay, um, if first, okay, let me just stop. I say that because I also have lived in all Pacific Northwest here. Okay, so, 49er fan, by the way, not Seahawk, not the Ducks. I'm just saying. Um, what is expensive? What does that even mean to you, right?
Right.
I talk about levels, FYI, in my salary playlist that you go in there. I don't know what position you're interviewing for, but most of a lot of the roles and in the States are in levels, FYI. Even Glassdoor, that's how you know your compensation. And also click on the state where you'll be relocating, like Oregon. Okay. Oregon is not a high paying state. Two reasons. One, the living expenses is very low, much lower than Seattle. Um, there's only four state, I believe, with no state tax. That's Oregon, Seattle, North Carolina, and Texas. And guess what? Oregon is the least expensive place. You're talking to the right person here, T Rex. Okay, so make sure you get all your homework together before you negotiate. Okay, that's what I would do. And you guys got to know what is your compensation expectation, because whatever company that you're relocating, they're going to pay for your full move anyway. All right. Do you have anything different, Cass?
Well, I was just gonna say too, you're already coming in like, if offered, how do I ask for more money? You're assuming already that they're not going to give you what you're looking for, and they're going to do the pay. So, like, just to reiterate what you said,
Hmm.
I should go this way, what you said.
Hmm.
They're going to base the pay off the area you would be living in. So they're going to base that pay off Oregon. So yes, you should be doing your homework, but the way you ask the question does make me think you've been looking at what you'd be paid where you live now and thinking that's what they'd offer you in Oregon,
By
and
the
it's
way,
probably
what
not.
state are you in now, T Rex?
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't tell
curious.
judging by your background photo. All right. And please keep your question as specific as possible. For instance, like what state, because that makes a big difference with the conversation. So we're not generalizing it. And what position are we talking about? Tech, non tech? What is it? Okay. Swati. Swati says, Holly, can I please post a link to the video identifying hiring manager on LinkedIn? I'm going to remake that because When I make that video, very embarrassingly, that was my first 5 video. It was really bad. It's bad. So I would have to redo it. As mentioned, this whole month is about LinkedIn and networking. Okay? All right. I
There was one more that didn't have a question around it. I know they were supposed to do a Q, but I'm seeing it.
which one?
It said, "You mentioned 70% jobs via networking. Does it mean referred by employee, have
Oh,
priority comparatively?" Yes. Yes. If you wanna go to the top of the pile immediately, even if it's a electronic pile of resumes, it's you have the second they hear, "Oh, they're referred by so and so," you're put in a short stack.
Yep, and the fact that you already got the eye of the hiring managers on whomever that's referring you, they already have some homework about you where they don't have to start from square one, like the recruiter
Yeah.
screen, the phone screen, really getting to know if you're a potential fit. Absolutely. That's why networking is really the key, guys. I know it sounds really frightening. I actually taught this in my community that when you reach out to people, don't reach out with the same message, the same format over and over again. You got Christmas holiday that's coming and New Year's around the corner. Honestly, if I were you, I would just send them like a 30-second video because I think video is really so ironic. Not because I'm a YouTuber. I'm just saying that, right? And shorts. Not because I'm focusing on shorts. It's an impression. People remember you and people can
Mhm.
see you're putting effort into it. It's really uncomfortable, but if you can't record a 30-second or 1 minute introduction of why you want to reach out to this potential person to network, not beg for a job, by the way, to network, how are you going to ace the interview process? I'm only asking 30-second to 1 minute. Introduction, very brief, quick to the point. Wish them a happy holiday.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think too, one, like, other thing you can do off of that is I think sometimes LinkedIn people are so scared of being professional that you forget how you talk to people in your own office, and you get to know your coworkers, you get to know people. So, one thing I love is, like, post a question that's still, workplace appropriate, but easy for a lot of people to answer to. So something at this time of year of like, "Hey, I know we're about to hit the time of year where everyone gets hopefully is getting a little break from work. What's everyone doing with their break?" And, like, you will hear from people that never wanna be part of the, like, professional discussions because they're excited to say, "Oh, I'm going skiing," or, "Oh, my family always makes, tamales together on Christmas Eve," or whatever, and so you're getting them to respond, and now I think there's an even better reason to go into their DMs and send them the video like you're saying, to be like, "Hey, happy holidays. Thank you so much for commenting on that post. I'd love, send me a picture of I want to see what the tamale train looks like when it's all done. Send me a picture." Like it
Be
use
personable.
use the main feed to start gathering ideas of how you can reach out to people in the DMs.
Swati says, Cassandra, how do you do an informational interview?
Yeah. This is one of my very first videos. You can go check it out. Uh,
Is it?
yeah. Because to me, this is the everything, but people just are scared of rejection, so they don't want to do it. Um, so an informational interview, think of it's a reverse interview. You're going to meet with somebody and ask them about what they do, about how they got started, about what they like about their job, what they like about their department, what they don't like, what they like about the company, etc. And so it's literally just gathering information, but in the process, they're getting to know you. Um, and so that's what one is. That's how you do it. It can be done over Zoom, it can be done over Google Meet. Best is in person. Now that we're getting back to in person, I hold by that. I know it takes more time, but there is something about meeting someone face to face that changes things. So that's what it is, but it's never asking for a job. It's just getting to know them to start building that relationship. Again, I equate this stuff back to dating things all the time. On a first date, you don't go, "Hey, you wanna get married?" At least most people don't.
you
Uh,
would
and
hope so.
so you shouldn't on a informational interview go, "Hey, do you have any job openings for me?" Doesn't mean you can't plant seeds unless the person is a narcissistic monster, and I have done a couple of those informational interviews. Most people will ask you about you in return, and so you can start planting seeds of like they'll say, "Well, tell me about you. What do I need to know about you?" And that's why you have to have your intro ready. You have to know what you want to talk about. What are like the 3 things you want them to know about you over the course of this conversation? And you can drop in like college student is always an easy example, but you can do this at any age. I'm a senior. My major is communications, and I'm really interested in advertising. And so I have been a member of our ad club since my freshman year, and I've had 2 internships at larger advertising agencies. But I think I want to go with a more locally driven marketing and advertising agency. And that's why I'm so excited to talk with you today, because I know you work in that space and I want to learn more about it. So great, you turned it
Yep.
around to being about them, but you told what you're looking for in the process. And you name drop like, "Hey, I've done internships." Like, "Hey, I've done stuff." So there's always some version of that you can be doing.
What about your thoughts of those with security clearances from HP?
That is not as much my wheelhouse.
Security clearances. What do you mean by that? You mean having clearance for the job? Because generally, the only time that you would need security clearances is working at. I'm sorry, I have to like move my yoga ball that I I just moved into my new office, guys. I have no chair. I'm sitting on my yoga ball. That's right.
She's getting a good core while she talks.
Right? I was saying, unless you're working at an FC, a fulfillment center, then I would see you needing security clearances. For the most part, you have to pass a basic background check. I think that's your question right there. Basic meaning no misdemeanor, criminal, and all of that stuff. Okay. And
Right.
they do, I think I can speak to all employer. They go through the last 10 years. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Carry on. Excellent questions, and I appreciate the cue. Thank you, Purple Sparkle, our community manager. Okay, let's moderator. Should I ask questions again? Is it far up? I don't think it's gonna be read. T Rex, you are funny. I read everything, my friend. Everything. Okay, you live in Kansas. Okay, Kansas. The job is a recruiter. Oh, I see.
Okay.
My research and rent of the town 1,500 to 2,000. I guess I've been told to not settle for the first amount employer offer. Listen, if you're in Kansas and your rent is 1,500 to 2,000, if you're in Portland, Oregon, the dollar amount is really similar, if not still less.
No, he's saying in Oregon, it's gonna be 1,500
50
to
to
2,000.
2,000. Well, depending on where though, I mean, if you're going to live in downtown Portland or like Tualatin, is going to cost you a lot. It's really depending on where you live because
I
Oregon is so big.
I think he's saying in Boardman, Oregon. Okay, so if I'm understanding this, T-Rex, you're saying you live in Kansas, job as a recruiter. In your research, the rent of the town, Boardman, Oregon, where you'd move, is 1,500 to 2,000, which I have a bunch of friends in Kansas I know is significantly more. Um, but that cost of living, so here's actually the danger you're going to be in, is that cost of living is going to be taken into account of the salary offer they give you. And what you're going to do is they're going to say, I'm going to use simple numbers. These might not even be close to the numbers. Uh you could have done research that in Kansas a recruiter makes $50,000. And you're going to hear the recruiter salary in Oregon and they're going to say it's $75,000. And your brain is going to be like, "Holy crap. That's so much money compared to what I'd like, yeah, I can totally live off that." And not take into account all the cost of living that would be eaten up. Like that's actually the problem that most people have. Um and you shouldn't settle for the first amount. It was just the way you asked the question was assuming like Oh, I must ask for more. So really, you need to be thinking about how much money do if the cost of living for rent is $1,500 to $2,000 in this town you're moving to, you need to be figuring out, I call it your minimum viable income. Holly had a different, your compensation, something, you called it something different. But essentially, you need to figure out, what do you need to live in this town as like survival? And then what's the number you need to actually enjoy life? And then you need to ask for a number higher than that number.
Also, when you negotiate, you have to put in the factor, are you single? Do you have children? Like all of that stuff that coupled up, okay?
Yeah,
Because with relocation, there's a different type of negotiation. It's total compensation, your base salary, your sign-on bonus,
right.
your equity, if the company has equity, and also relocation has its own bonuses that you choose from. This is just all company. We're not talking about Amazon or the big companies here. So the bottom line is you have to do your homework. For instance, if you come out and say, "Well, I know that Portland, Oregon is 1,500 to 2,000 just on rent," you got to show the data. Where are you getting that from? Okay, because if I'm the recruiter on the other end, the first thing I'm going to do is Google it. So save me time and give me all the data. Okay, T Rex, let us know if we have answered your question. Oh, HP says clearances to work for government defense industry. Yes, the defense industry has a very intense in aerospace as well. Clearances, you have to be perfect in order to get clearances.
Hmm. Clean
Uh,
record.
okay, let's go with you. Welcome, Surrender, Jennifer. How are you, Jennifer? Thank you for the coffee. Cassandra, how to ask someone on LinkedIn that I have never met before in person if you will be interested in giving their time for an informational interview.
Yeah. Common question. You need to warm up that relationship. Again, you don't walk up to somebody on the street, or I hope you don't go in Instagram DMs. Some people do this and like see somebody cute and go, "Hey, you're cute. You want to go on a date?" Or like, "Hey, you're cute. You want to Zoom?" No, that's creepy, right? So same thing. It's not appropriate to go into DMs and be like, "Hey, I'd really like to work at your company and I'd love to hear about what you do. Do you have time for me?" Like everyone's time is so precious now. We all probably hold it a little too tightly, but like giving up their time for a stranger isn't going to happen. So, a couple of
Hmm.
things. Number one, can you find any connection in common? Any loose tie to the person is going to help. So, if you both know a person and they can give you an introduction, that's great. If you use that alumni tool, if you went to the same school, all you have to do is send them a message being like, "Hey, you went to UCLA. I went to UCLA. I would love to connect," and send a connect request first. So this is how I do it. I would send a connection request. If they accept the request, great. Now you need to wait a day. Don't be too eager. Like if you see their
It's like
request,
dating, right? Don't call them
right?
back
Like
right away.
right, if their request comes in, you don't go, "And now let me ask them a question," because now I'm like, "Oh, geez, I gave a little, and now this person's gonna keep taking." So, like, wait a day, and then you can write them back and go, "Hey, thank you so much for accepting my request. I would love to know, like, what is one thing" again, ask them one simple question to answer. "I would love to know, what's one piece of advice you'd wish you'd gotten?" Or, "Hey, I'm looking at getting into blah 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 industry," whatever industry they're in. What's a skill you think all people in this industry should have coming in? And like let them answer that question. If they answer that question, they're warming up. Like they're kind of saying like, "Hey, I'm okay with being a help to you." And so I would try and kind of keep that conversation going a little bit, and then do the ask of, "Thank you so much for answering those questions." Always sound appreciative. Don't sound like, this is another problem is people, Holly and I have talked about this before. People come in our DMs and are just like, "Hey, I really need you to help me out." I'm sorry. What do I owe you something? I believe I've made 1,000 videos on YouTube that could help you out. All right. Why am I being demanded of your time? You're not even paying me. So it's the same thing of like, if you're going to ask these people to give, people will give as long as you sound appreciative. So thank you so much for answering those questions. I really appreciate this. I know this might be a lot to ask, but would you have like 15 minutes to get on a Zoom? I just really am trying to get some insider, not insider, but like boots on the ground information of what it's like to work in that area. I like to say something to let them know I've done my research, but I know research only goes so far. So something like, I've read all the books about blah, 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 but I haven't been able to talk to anyone inside the company about what it's really like. Would you be open to 10 minutes to do that? So those are the ways I would go about trying to get their attention to actually get you a yes
Yeah.
from a cold DM.
I agree. Okay, taking last question. Okay, guys, last because my allergy, I don't know if y'all hear it, it's coming in very quickly. T Rex says, "Thank you for your help. Based on the information I gather, what would be a good choice when asking for more based on my finding? I got scheduled final interviewed and the head of people. First of all, here's the thing. I'm playing devil's advocate here. If I'm in recruiting, you better tell me your compensation expectations so I can, close the deal and know if I can get you excited with the number I'm presenting you. However, the table has turned. I'm on your side, T Rex, and everyone else. I don't even want to talk about compensation until I know I do well and pass the bar. Here's why. Because then when they say, oh my God, all thumbs up, we're trying to put an offer together. Now that's a clear indication that you could negotiate and you can leverage that because now you know you've done well. I actually made a video on relocation and how to negotiate, as well as I would look at playlist number one. It's salary negotiation. And then I believe it was number three, relocation and how do you I'm sorry, how do you negotiate and what kind of question you should ask. Okay, ask question. For example, will you be covering the whole move? Be very specific. I'm a renter. I'm a homeowner. I have a car. I have two car. I have three kids. Whatever that may be. Make sure you have a conversation and you send an email to your recruiter to follow up so that nothing can fall through the crack. Okay. I say that because I've seen a lot of things that fall through the crack before. Okay. And people are not going to remember it because they're talking to you, taking notes. Their notebook is this thick. They probably have about 100 of them. So you want to follow up with an email. That way they will get everything. In fact, in the email, what is that? The urgency, the red thing here on the email, so they
Mhm.
know who you are. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. I have got to get going and I have got to let Cassandra go as well. I'll make sure to leave her information in the description sometime today. If you have any other questions for us, feel free to drop it in the comment section in this video. Okay. Um,
Cool.
and Cass, I will be in touch.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good
Bye,
one.
everyone.
Bye.